Alright, what's going on guys? It's your boy Tony Shen. I'm back with another FL Studio beat tutorial. Today we're gonna make emotional beats for artists like Lil TJay. We want to give them a nice, beautiful layer of melody for them to sing / rap over, and it's gonna be super dope. So by the end of this video, you should be a master at making emotional melodies. But if not, don't worry about it. Music is a long, tiresome journey that takes you to many beautiful places, and regardless, I'm glad to take you on board in this journey together. So I'm gonna get straight started. I got my big keyboard hooked up. I'm gonna start laying down some piano chords. But right before I do that, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. It really means a lot to me, and I would greatly appreciate all of your support. Anyways, let's get straight to it. So right now I have Addictive Keys opened up. We got some nice, using the jazzish preset. Just nice standard keys, right? Set a tempo to like, say like 156. Hold up, why is my mouse so small? Why is my mouse so small? All right, give me a second, I'll be right back. Okay, so we back. As I was saying earlier, we're using this Addictive Keys, and so let's set the tempo to like, I don't know, like 100, I'm thinking like 168-ish, 166 maybe. Let's just come up with a beautiful melody. All right, we got something in the bag, guys. Something like that, right? Something kind of emotional. Now, I know not all of you guys have a keyboard or have a big set of keys that you can play and just play melodies to, so I'm gonna break it down in the piano roll, and I'll show you some ways where like you could still draw in your notes and still get that same level of emotionness and just feel. Let's take a look at the piano roll. I'm not even gonna quantize this. I'm just gonna play it through and hear what it sounds like. Let me cut some of this tail off. I might actually nudge some of this just to get it a little bit back on grid. Same with these notes, just extend them a little bit. But basically how you create emotions, first is just tension. Like, where can you create a flow of tension that takes your listener into like an emotional journey in just like 8 bars, right? Like very quick loop, but how can you create that level of emotional roller coaster? Well, there's a few ways you could do that. First is in the timing. Like, obviously if everything was perfectly on metronome, it would sound kind of boring, it would sound kind of repetitive. So what you can do is just highlight some of these notes, like, you know, after you start clicking in notes into piano roll, because I know not all of you guys have a keyboard. One thing you could do is just manually offset these notes by, you know, dragging, like holding shift and then scrolling up and down and just manually offsetting some of these notes. And that'll instantly make it sound a little bit more interesting and just give it some direction, right? The second thing you could do is randomize the velocity. So as you could tell, I was playing the keys, right? The notes aren't hitting the same exact, right? Like some notes are going to be louder, some notes are going to be softer, but if you just click in notes, most of the time it's going to default all the notes to like hit at one velocity. Now that makes it sound very, very boring and there's not a lot of movement. So you can either manually adjust each of these notes velocities, which is kind of tough, or you could hit a shortcut with Option R or Alt R if you're on Windows. I'm on Mac, so Option R. This tool allows you to randomize the velocity. So it just sets, like, you know, you can just crank this knob and it'll make the velocities random, and that'll just instantly make your melodies sound a lot more emotional. Another thing with the melody you could do is add some type of progression and some type of movement, right? We're taking our listener onto like an emotional journey from point A to point B, but you can't get from point A to point B without going through some roads. So how do you express that in music? Well, you do that by kind of changing your progression and just walking around and then shifting from one chord to the other, right? So first I started with this E, A, G, which is essentially a A minor 7th, but minus the 3, right? And then I'm just walking down. This is C major, very simple chord. And then back to this A minor 7th. Now we end on an F major 7th. So you can add some direction into your melodies by having some movement in your chord structure. Like if you just play one chord the entire time, it's gonna sound kind of stagnant, right? So feel free to experiment with different chords and then just walk around with different chords. That'll instantly give a sense of direction to your melody. And then once you have this melody, the rest should just come second nature to you. The rest is just all about adding on melodies and adding on different elements to this melody. This is the most important part of your beat. So now I just want to add the drums. I kind of went through my splice library and I found a bunch of drum sounds from Ronnie J's Oh My God Ronnie kit on Splice, and to kind of explain the drums, going with pretty common, like trap hip hop drums, pretty common. Right, with the 808, I might want to make it a little bit shorter. So what you could do is increase this out knob, so it just makes the waveform a little bit shorter, right? And then create that envelope so that the notes don't leak. I just like doing it this way. You can do it another way, which is just hit cut itself, and you don't have to do the envelope thing. But I like doing the envelope thing because it just gives me a little bit more control. First, I'm gonna come up with a groove for the 808 because I feel like in this context, the 808 is used more as like a percussive element more than like a melodic element. Like obviously you are gonna have to pitch your 808, but in this context, when the piano is obviously the main player in the game, you want that to take up more of like the melodic storytelling role, while like the 808 is just gonna sit in the back and give that additional layer of bounce. First, I'm just going to literally record the 808 on one note just to get that level of bounce. And what you can do is just hit the record button, hit notes and automation, and then any key. It doesn't matter because we're going to pitch the 808 later anyways. But yeah, basically just use your keyboard as like an MPC. Pretty simple, right? Let's just quantize this. Command Q or Control Q if you're on Windows, Control L to link all of this, or Command L. So for good practice, you can't go wrong by setting the root note of your bass to the root note of the chord, right? So like I was explaining earlier, start with the A minor 7th. So obviously you would set it on the A, right? It's a little low. And then this is what, like a G? No, this is a C major, so that would go on C. Because C major chord, C is the root note, right? And then the E could just be a transition note so it doesn't have to stay on the root. And then like we said earlier, F, this is the F major. You want to keep the root note on F. And then the E again is a transition note. Now we have our 808 melody. You can add that clap. Beautiful, beautiful. Now let's go to our hi-hats. Same thing we did with the 808. Let's just record it using our keyboard. Yeah, just hit random keys and then whatever sounds good. But the main purpose is to have a more organic sense of bounce. Like obviously you could fill out all this stuff by clicking into the step sequencer, but we're trying to have fun making music. Music should be a fun thing, man. If you're just spending all day clicking, like it could get a little bit repetitive and mundane. So when you can have fun making music, go for it. That's the whole point. I genuinely had a good time recording that loop and it made me happier, and that's the whole point. Okay, so now let's just make sure it's on time and not all over the place so we can actually quantize this. So Control Q, and then let's just listen to it and make sure I didn't go off time too much. Next, I did drag in a kick, so we could just follow the 808 melody. So now let's add some other percussive elements just to make it easier to bounce to. Right now I'm using a perc. And same thing, let's have some fun with it. Let's go back to the melody for a little bit, because obviously the piano sounds amazing. It just sounds so beautiful. However, we need to add a little bit more, because if you just repeat this loop all over, it might get a little bit repetitive and it might lose that energy that you first get when you first heard the loop, right? Because it's just so repetitive. So what we can do is find other elements and add on top of this piano. Let's think of like instruments that could pair well with this. I think strings, especially with Lil TJay and that type of music, strings go along very, very well. Now, it doesn't have to be like a live sampled orchestra or like some expensive contact library. If you have strings, whatever type of strings you have, as long as you use it correctly, it would work. So the strings that I'm gonna use comes from this plugin called Heat Up 3. And the thing I like about Heat Up 3, and a lot of plugins actually do this, if you change the mod wheel, like you can actually, you know, if you don't have a keyboard, you can actually just automate this using an automation clip. But there's like a mod wheel control on this plugin, so it gives you an additional level of control and expression. So let me just, let's just record a melody on top of this and then just have fun, like express yourself. At certain parts, right, I do engage the mod wheel, and it's a very subtle difference. It does add that little bit of like tremolo or vibrato or like something, right? It just makes it a little bit of change, and sometimes subtlety is all you need. Okay, so we have all the melodies. We have everything. Let's just throw them in the mixer. Let's try to level some things, right? I feel like the piano and like the strings for sure are kind of loud. So let's just level it out a little bit, add some effects, and see what we come up with. So Control-Shift-L, add all that stuff in. Solo the keys. Okay, first I want to add Sketch Cassette. It's like my go-to plugin now. It's basically like a tape emulator. Makes it sound more vintage. Turn down the input gain a little bit. Already has like that environment, so I'm not gonna add additional reverb to it. I feel like this is enough. Just maybe some EQ, just to cut out the lows, so it doesn't butt heads with our bass. The strings, I want it to sound very wide. Like when the strings come in, this section it's probably like a chorus. It just sounds very, very big. So for sure, I want to add some type of delay. Now I'm gonna open Effect Rack. So we're gonna add this crystallizer delay. I like this because it chops them up into like granular bits, and then it gives you the ability to like play it backwards. Like right now it's set on reverse, so if you listen to it, it's super dope. Just makes it sound so big and wide, right? Maybe also add some micro shift, which is like a detune. And EQ this a little bit so there's not too much interference with the piano. Beautiful. Now let's split this by channel and arrange the entire beat, and then we have this in the bag. Now I know you guys didn't come here to watch me drag a bunch of blocks, right? Like I know that's not what you like doing, so I'm gonna make it easier for you. Basically, I'm gonna show you a quick shortcut on how to arrange it very quickly. Now this is something that FL Studio doesn't want you to know because they want to keep this shortcut very secret, but I'm gonna show you that it works. Basically, the shortcut to automatically arranging your beats is to flick your cheek 3 times. Ready? Ooh, that kind of hurt. Yeah, I kind of flicked myself kind of hard. That's why I don't like to showcase this shortcut a lot, because it actually hurts me in the process of doing it. But as you can tell, the shortcut obviously worked. We have our full beat arranged. Now, just for me to kind of explain how I arranged it, first I did add like an intro. It's not that much. Like I added halftime or like gross beat, whatever, you know, whatever. It's the same thing, right? Same thing. But I added halftime to it to give it that, you know, like give it that intro. And I also turned it up. I think this is like verse number 2 or something. But yeah, that's the entire beat. I'd like to kind of showcase our wonderful project, our beautiful beat that we made together. I'm gonna play it for you guys. Here's what it sounds like. That's the whole beat. If you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial, please hit the subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. I hope I earned your trust enough through this video, if you're new to this channel, to please hit the subscribe button. But that's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much.